At SunTrust Park in Atlanta, Pix 11 presents New York Mets baseball tonight. The Mets play the Atlanta Braves. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Hyundai. There's no better time than now to see your Hyundai dealer. Visit buyhyundai.com. By Spectrum, join America's fastest growing TV, internet, and voice provider. By Toyota, tested, trusted Toyota. Let's go places. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. By Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, more science, less fear. And by your tri-state Land Rover retailers. Well, the latest home of the Braves is SunTrust Park, but there's plenty of history that precedes it. The great Henry Aaron, many feel the legitimate home run king of all time. Warren Spahn, the winningest left-hander in the history of the game. Bobby Cox, immortalized for his managerial skills. And Chipper Jones, an epithet to Met fans. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Atlanta. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets split the middle game of their series against the Braves. This is an interesting pitching matchup because the Mets' current ace goes up against the Mets' former ace. R.A. Dickey, 42 years of age and counting, still going for the Atlanta Braves, but his 3 years with the Mets, 2010 to 2012, will never be forgotten. Cy Young in 2012, back-to-back one-hitters, 20-game winner. He was a phenomenon.
Well, he was a comeback kid. His career was on the line, pretty much on the shelf, and he resurrected himself beautifully, and particularly with that Cy Young year in 2012 where he went 20-6 and was also involved in that big trade, Gary, that brought Noah Syndergaard and Travis d'Arnaud here to New York.
And of course, what set Dickey apart, not just his pitching, but his backstory as well, his personality, his erudition. He was something that's incredibly special for Met fans and will never be forgotten. So he pitches tonight against the Mets, who have never beaten Dickey, and Jacob deGrom takes another crack at his 15th win for this edition of the Mets.
Well, he's stuck on 14 his last 6 starts. He's lost 4 of his last 5 decisions. 15 would be a career high for him. I think it's kind of weighing on him. He's been a little bit temperamental, a little edgy. I think he's ready for a win here. He's pitched in tough luck against the Braves. This will be his 11th career start against them with a 4-3 record.
Mets have lost 5 games in a row. They've lost 8 straight road games, trying to snap those streaks tonight in suburban Atlanta. Mets and Braves, all the action on Pix 11. with internet speeds up to 4 times faster. Be at Citi Field Friday, September 22nd for Free Shirt Friday and the start of Fan Appreciation Weekend when the Mets take on the Nationals at 7:10. All fans in attendance will receive a neon Let's Go Mets t-shirt courtesy of Ruby's Costumes. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Free Shirt Fridays. Themes of the game brought to you by Hyundai. There's no better time than now to see your Hyundai dealer. Take it on the road, Keith.
Well, the traffic here is brutal, but it was Saturday, Gary, and it was free sailing. Thank goodness. You can see the 8 straight road losses for the Mets. Dickey's in the fast lane. He's going around 100 miles an hour when he pitches against the Mets. And on the detour, maybe Dominic can be the police guy that says, hey, whoa, I'm red hot. I'm going to give you an L. Your first L against the Mets.
100? That'll be the hardest knuckleball in history. Mets and Braves, SunTrust Park. Hey, the first pitch is coming right up.
Year $25 million contract extension, which would complete the proposed trade between the Mets and the Blue Jays.
So the Mets have gotten 2 prospects they consider high-end. The pitcher, Syndergaard's a guy who was in single A last year, so he's not Major League ready by any stretch. And the Mets may have preferred a Major League ready guy in theory, but this is obviously the best package that was offered.
And that Syndergaard guy may be Major League ready again pretty soon. The best guess is that Noah will pitch in a game for the first time in 5 months sometime next week. Meanwhile, R.A. Dickey at 42, going on 43, still going for the Braves. Toyota starting lineup for the Mets tonight. Day off for Jose Reyes, so Gavin Cecchini will get another start. Ahmed Rosario and Travis d'Arnaud both back in the lineup after missing a game with minor hurts. As Drupal Cabrera as hot as anybody in the month of September, as the Mets try and beat Dickey for the first time ever. He's 4-0 lifetime against New York and 2-0 against them this season.
Well, there he is, his 21st season in professional baseball, starting back in 1997, excuse me.
First round draft pick by the Texas Rangers in '96. They rescinded his bonus offer because they found out he did not have an ulnar collateral ligament. He bombed out as a conventional pitcher, reinvented himself as a knuckleballer, and has won 119 big league games.
And if I recall, Gary, you look at him right there, he did a lot of research. He made phone calls to all the old knuckleballers, Phil Niekro, and got hints on how to throw the knuckleball. And let's give him credit here. I mean, he has resurrected himself, and he right now is the last, what, 5 seasons has had over 30 starts. Last year we only had 29, so we'll just count that as 30. So he's been durable, dependable. Only 9-9 here this year with the Braves. But as Gary mentioned in the open, since the trade, He has been 3-0 against the Mets.
And of course, Travis d'Arnaud and Noah Syndergaard came back the other way in that trade. So did young Wilmer Becerra, who the Mets still hope will make it to the big leagues.
And the Braves defense is brought to you by Nissan. And Johan Camargo gets to start at shortstop tonight. Kurt Suzuki is behind the plate. And out in the outfield, you've got the two Gold Glovers on the right side. Inciarte is something special with the glove in center. Right there with Lagares. Markakis 1-2 when he was over in the American League with the Orioles.
Kemp tweaked his hamstring last night, came out of the game, so Jace Peterson playing left field behind Dickey tonight. Of course, R.A. fields his position very well. Slowed down a little at age 42, but he has won a Gold Glove in his career. That came in his first year with the Blue Jays in 2013. Nori Aoki will lead it off for New York. Aoki came off the bench last night, went 0 for 1. Just one hit in his last 17 at bats after a fast start with the Mets. He's played a dozen games now in a New York uniform.
46 at bats as a New York Met, hitting .239.
Robert Allen Dickey set to go. And his first pitch of the night is a fastball. It's taken low for ball one.
At 81
Sneak
miles.
attack.
At 81 miles an hour.
He's thrown his fastball 18% of the time this year. His knuckleball 79% of the time. And there's another fastball that misses away, and it's 2-0. Of course, he became the really the first guy that we had ever seen to throw the hard knuckleball. There's his first, and he gets it in for a strike. He would throw his knuckleball close to 80 miles an hour,
yes,
sometimes above, which none of us had ever seen before. And he goes with all fastballs the first 4 pitches to Aoki, and it's 2-2.
Well, that year in 2012, Gary, that's why he won the Cy Young. He won the 20. He led the major leagues in games started with 33 innings pitched and strikeouts.
It was really a magical year for him in so many ways. And his first knuckleball misses outside 3-2. Not the least of which is that his strikeout rate that year in 2012 was so much higher than in any other year in his career. This year is at 6.8. That year he was well over 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. And Aoki lifts one toward the left field line. Peterson ranges over and gets it. So Dickey throwing a lot of fastballs early in this game, and he gets Aoki to fly out to start the ninth.
Well, one thing that he did that Cy Young award, the Cy Young year, was he only walked 54 batters, Gary, in 233 2/3. He threw strikes with that knuckleball.
R.A. will turn 43 next month. Signed a 1-year deal with the Braves. They have an option on him for next year. Brandon Nimmo drives one to right center field, cutting across Markakis to make the grab. Markakis got a great jump on that ball headed toward the gap and picks off the liner from Nimmo for the second out.
Well, you got the gold over there on that right side. Markakis runs this one down. He's a nice player, Markakis. He's a hustler. He comes prepared to play. He's always in the game.
So 2 up and 2 set aside. And now the hottest thing going for the Mets is Asdrubal Cabrera. He's got a 9-game hitting streak going. He's hitting .545 over those 9 games, 18 for 33, including 3 for 3 last night. I had half a mind that he might bat right-handed against Dickey tonight because he's been so hot right-handed. But he opts to go lefty and takes a strike. Who's Hot brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance, and there is that hitting streak for Cabrera.
Got his batting average to .279.
Knuckleball hit in the air to shallow center field. And Inciarte comes in under. 3 fly balls to the outfield. 3 outs for Dickey on 9 pitches to start his night. Jacob deGrom takes the mound when we come back. come to bat against Jacob deGrom in the bottom of the first. Here's their lineup brought to you by your Tri-State Land Rover retailer. Johan Camargo gets the start at shortstop. Dansby Swanson getting the night off. Kurt Suzuki catches. Tyler Flowers, the #1 catcher for the Braves, is a little banged up right now. He's got a bruised hand, won't play in this series.
Well, those 221 strikeouts for deGrom are 5th most in the major league, 2nd in the National League. His 14 wins is 5th in the National League. He needs number 15.
Ender Inciarte leads things off, 1 for 4 last night. Inciarte with 188 hits, 2nd in the National League behind Charlie Blackmon. And he's late on the fastball at 97 miles an hour. Inciarte is trying to become the first Brave with 200 hits in a season since Marquise Grissom in 1996, more than 20 years ago. And he's got a pretty good shot to get there, having a really good year. And again, late on the fastball, and it's 0-2. deGrom's last start, he had a shaky first inning against the Reds. Really had trouble finding his command. Took him 33 pitches to get through that inning, gave up a couple of runs, but as so often happens with Jake, he didn't give up anything else. 5 scoreless innings after that rough first. And he left with a chance to win, but the bullpen let it get away.
Yes.
And it wound up a no decision for him, and that's certainly not the first time that's happened to Jake this year.
He's going to face a Brave lineup with a couple switch hitters, but there's going to be 7 batters that are going to be hitting from the left side of the plate.
Ozzie Albies, switch hitter on deck, and Inciarte takes a slider down, 1-2. There's Albies, Freddie Freeman behind him. deGrom's goal is to get to 15 wins for sure, but more so his goal is to get to 200 innings this year for the first time. He did it if you combine the regular season and the postseason 2 years ago, but he's at 188 1/3 this year, and 2 more starts should get him close to, if not beyond, the 200 inning plateau. Only 2 pitchers have thrown more innings in the National League this year than Jacob. 1-2 coming, and he crowds Inciarte, and it missed. 2-2. Fielding Colbreth is the home plate umpire tonight. He's the crew chief. Not quite as loud as Manny Gonzalez, who called the plate last night. Manny bellows his calls. And that fastball's away, and deGrom throwing hard in the first inning.
He's got another leadoff hitter that's making him work here. He's had his run of first innings where he's really had to exert himself.
8th pitch of the at bat, and Inciarte lifts it out to right, and Aoki is right there. And that's the first out.
And your Metropolitan defense brought to you by Fios. And you've got Rosario, who missed the game. He's back at shortstop. Cicchini getting some playing time to show his wares. And Aoki back in right field. Nemo's been getting a lot of playing time in left field, as well as Juan Legatus.
Beautiful little roll of the R there.
Oh, thank you, Gary. I hammed it up.
Ozzie Albies riding a 13-game hitting streak. The 20-year-old from Curacao having quite a first month and a half in the big leagues. He came up the same day as Ahmed Rosario. They both came up August 1st.
A better right-hand hitter than left-hand hitter, but he showed a little pop last night with that double, that first at bat, one-handed flick of the wrist that short hopped the right center field gap.
It's the ball that Legares nearly made a circus catch on at the wall. And deGrom falls behind Albies, 3-0. Freddie Freeman waiting on deck.
Well, another beautiful day here in Atlanta.
And a 4-pitch walk. So Albies, who has a .362 on base percentage, betters that with a 1-out walk. And that has deGrom shaking his head. Jake walked a couple in the first inning in his last start. Now he's going to take on Freddie Freeman with a man on. Swings at the first pitch 45% of the time.
That's the highest in the NL, and why not? First ball, fastball hitting, particularly after that first at bat.
And he drills the first pitch into right field for a base hit. On cue, Albies will go first to third, and the Braves have runners at the corners with one out.
Well, a slider right there that gave him nothing but fits last night. And this just didn't have enough break. It just kind of just helicoptered, so to speak. And the good hitters, and Freddie is certainly one of the very best, will take advantage. I don't know what Albies is slowing down for. You put all the great right fielders in the history of the game out there, and that's not going to get caught.
So DeGrom finds first inning difficulty again. And here's Nick Markakis, 2 for 4 last night. So Jake trying to settle in. His first innings have not been his friend. And Markakis takes one at the knees for a strike. 14 first inning runs, so an ERA well over 4 in the first inning. His ERA for the year 3.63, just outside the top 10 in the league.
Markakis struck out once last night. That's 100 strikeouts on the year. This is what DeGrom needs, or a double play.
And he gets jammed and fouls it off 0-2. Well, Markakis has been such a consistent player for a dozen years, past the 2,000 hit plateau in his career last month.
That's a big congratulations right there. That's a nice plateau.
You did it 30 years and a day ago.
You have to remind me.
Well, we celebrated it last night.
Yeah, but it's 30 years ago.
Good, you're still here.
Oh,
here's the 0-2 coming, and he gets jammed again and fouls it off.
Well, DeGrom's dialing it up here. He has always been a pitcher. There's Suzuki in the on-deck circle. That has impressed me when he's in trouble, how he knuckles down and really bears down, and he's thrown 3 straight gas attacks here on Markakis. Needs to put him away.
Albies at third, Freeman at first with 1 out.
Oh.
And the backdoor breaking ball got him for the 2nd out. Beautiful slider by DeGrom for his first strikeout. 2 away.
Set up by the 3 prior fastballs, Garrett. The 3rd fastball inside corner got him a little bit worried in, and then you drop that little backdoor breaker on him. Beautiful pitch.
So now 2 out. DeGrom has a chance to get through the inning as he takes on Kurt Suzuki. Suzuki having a terrific offensive year at age 33. He's got 15 home runs, which ties his career high. And he's done it in just 238 at bats. When he set his career high with Oakland back in 2009, he had 570 at bats. So he's hitting at a different power level than he ever has. And fouls away the first pitch fastball, and DeGrom really feeling his oats tonight, hitting 98 regularly in the first inning.
It's keeping the ball down, the fastball down, Gare, and hitting us in on the corners, in and out.
And Suzuki fouls off the fastball, and again DeGrom gets ahead 0-2.
He's airing it out. I think if he gets out of this inning, he's got, like Ronnie always said, which I never in my life thought of. I didn't really think about it because I was not a pitcher. You get the bottom half of the order, the bottom third of the order. If he gets out of this inning, gets Suzuki out, kind of settle in. It's a lot of energy. He's throwing real hard this inning.
Ahead 0-2. And a pop up. Rosario retreats. Nimmo comes in, but Rosario's got it called, and he puts it away, and DeGrom gets out of first inning trouble. Braves leave 2 after 1, no score. Customizable experience with the MLB.com at Bat app. Get New York Mets home screen icons and app features, as well as game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat today. Retired numbers: 3 for Dale Murphy, 6 for Bobby Cox, 10 for Chipper Jones, 21 for Warren Spahn, 29 for John Smoltz, 31 for Greg Maddux. Dominic Smith leads off the second against R.A. Dickey. Dom continues to swing a hot bat, had an RBI double last night. Last 3 games, he's 4 for 8 with 2 homers and 4 RBIs. And now his first look at a knuckleballer in the big leagues. And he takes the knuckler, a slow one, down 1-1.
Well, since his activation in the big league level, since August 11th, he's leading the Mets in RBIs, Mr. Smith, and home runs. 7 home runs, that is.
Do you remember, as a big leaguer, the first time you faced a knuckleballer and what that experience was like?
Well, the first time I faced a knuckleballer, I don't remember, but it would have been Phil Niekro, more than likely.
And how did you prepare for it, and what was it like?
Oh,
that's line over
nice.
short, and Dom prepared nicely. He's got a base hit.
I like Dominic using left center field. Did it last night. Kind of sunk, went right down and got it. That was not a bad pitch. Well done.
It was the hard knuckler from Dickey. That one was 81 on the gun.
I used to stand more upright. I almost stood straight up and down off a knuckleballer when I faced Niekro. Because if you got crouched, he threw at different speeds. If you threw the slow one, you couldn't wait. I didn't have a whole lot of success off of Phil.
Dickey facing Travis d'Arnaud, for whom he was traded. Travis still looking for his first hit against Dickey. He's 0 for 7. And he gets a fastball for a strike. 1-1.
You know, one thing that Phil Niekro did well was hold runners on. He was very athletic on the mound. He was very quick home, and he had a quick snap throw to first. I'll add something after this pitch. Lou Brock used to go crazy because Lou always said he never came to the belt and stopped for that split second.
Right.
He would go to the belt and throw, and Lou would always Lou never would argue. He would tell the umpires, make them stop. But when you're a knuckleballer and you're throwing 81 miles an hour, which is your fast one, and you're throwing 70-mile-an-hour soft ones, you are really susceptible to the stolen base.
But Niekro, like Dickey, controlled the running game really well. R.A. has always done a nice job of preventing the steal. Fastball finds the corner, 3-2. He's only given up 4 stolen bases in 28 starts this year. I mean, you think of knuckleballers in the past, guys like Charlie Huff, who you could run wild against.
I don't think the stolen bases are that high back in the 70s and 80s. But nonetheless,
quick snap throw, and Smith almost got caught flat-footed.
I don't think that Terry's going to run Dominic here. That knuckleball's so unpredictable. They can get a lot of swing and misses.
Very short lead now for Dom. Not going. And d'Arnaud laces one into center field for a base hit. Smith to second. He'll stop there as Inciarte scoops it up. So the Mets have back-to-back base hits to start the second. And he got a fastball that time to hit on 3-2.
Well, he took the fastball 3-1. You get a count. Nice hitting by d'Arnaud, by the way. You get 3-1. If I got a 3-1 count on Phil, I mean, I knew if he was going to throw me the fastball, it was going to be that little sinker running away. I was going to be ready for it. I don't want to hit the knuckleball. I wanted to hit his fastball.
Now Ahmed Rosario back in the lineup after missing 1 game. And he takes the knuckler for a strike. And the tight hip flexor that took him out of Thursday's game in Chicago. Sat last night, went through drills this afternoon, pronounced good to go. He had a great series with the bat at Wrigley Field. He went 6 for 11 in the 3 games. Smith at second, Darno at first with nobody out, and Rosario fouls off the knuckler, 1-2. Dickey had an easy first inning, finding trouble here in the second. And Rosario bloops one on the right side, and Freeman grabs it. Infield fly rule was called, and that's the first out.
No, that's the hard knuckleball right there that jammed so many hitters back in 2012.
Still one away now, Juan Lagares, who took a hard 0 for 4 last night. One of 4 Mets in the lineup tonight who have seen Dickey before. He's 1 for 7 against RA. And he swings at the knuckler, 0-1. Dickey had a rough beginning to his season. He hit his stride at mid-year. There's that high knuckleball.
I think all the Atlanta Brave pitchers, good knuckleball there, at best when he's thrown. I think we're kind of daunted. We were here in April, Gary, with the way the ball flew out of this ballpark. I think it kind of gave the entire Brave pitching staff a little bit of the heebie-jeebies.
Dickey struggled. Colon struggled even worse. That's hit sharply off the glove of Albies and into center field. Here comes Smith around third, and he'll score without a throw. It could have been a double play ball if Albies had handled it cleanly, but it was hit sharply, and for once, Lagares hits a sharp ground ball and gets something out of it. That'll be scored a base hit.
It should be a base hit and an RBI. Juan has hit the ball in some tough luck, and this just ate up Albies.
First run of the game brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. So the Mets have a 1-0 lead on the Lagares RBI single. And now Gavin Cecchini with 2 men on. And he takes the knuckler inside. Gavin 1 for 4 last night, had a double and scored a run. And that one finds the corner, 1-1. Gavin making his 15th start. He's had 58 at bats, hitting 190. And that one almost sailed on Suzuki, but he stayed with it, 2-1. Well, Gavin's only home run in the big leagues came against Clayton Kershaw. So he's homered against a Cy Young Award winner. Now he's facing another. Ball is away, and Dickey having a little trouble throwing strikes now behind 3-1. Jacob deGrom waiting on deck. 3 hits in the inning. Darno at second, Lagares at first with 1 out. And Cecchini hits the fastball into right field for a base hit. Darno to third. He's going to be waved around. Markakis unleashes the throw to the plate, not nearly in time. It goes to the backstop, and Cecchini did not advance as that ball came off the backstop right out to Dickey. So Cecchini drives in a run, and the Mets have a 2-0 lead.
A little inside out here. Inside out. I don't think he knew where he hit it. My goodness. Well, hey. It's like Lucky Charms.
Then when Markakis missed the cutoff man, I don't know why Cecchini did not take off for second.
Yep.
And then it went to the backstop.
Darno scores easily. You got to make the turn at first base.
Now deGrom bounces one foul, and of course Lagares went first to third on the play. deGrom 15 hits this year, 227 average, and a chance to tack on here with the Mets already up 2-0 in the second. The Mets have gotten mileage out of forcing Dickey to throw his fastball.
Well, here it is again. Doesn't know where it is. Okay. Now he's got to take a turn here. Read the throw. Too late.
I just don't understand why he didn't take the hard turn at first initially, especially when he saw right in front of him that that throw was so high that it wasn't going to be cut off.
We'll put one first check on our list for today's game.
And a suicide squeeze. It does not work. DeGrom can't get the bunt down, and Lagares is tagged out by Ruiz for the second out. Well, something the Mets rarely do. Terry Collins puts on the suicide squeeze, and DeGrom could not make contact.
Tough to put a squeeze on with a knuckleballer. And he took it. He didn't even attempt.
Then obviously there was a sign miss.
There's got to be a sign miss somewhere.
Because Lagares was coming all the way thinking it was a suicide squeeze, and DeGrom obviously has to offer at the ball in that situation and did not. So somebody missed a sign.
I got to believe that it's on DeGrom.
And now Jake pops one up. And so Dickey gets a big break there. DeGrom fouls out to Ruiz, and the Mets settle for just the 2 runs in that second inning. And DeGrom will take that lead back to the mound. 2-0 New York. The suicide squeeze.
Well, it's always a verbal sign on a squeeze play from the third base coach to the base runner. So this is on DeGrom.
And it wasn't that DeGrom missed the bunt. It's that he pulled the bat back away from attempting to bunt, which tells you he didn't know the squeeze was on.
He did not know the squeeze was on. So that's 2 checks.
It'll drive your coaching staff crazy.
Well, not much you can do about it, you know, and not much Juan can do about it.
Is there a way generally when the sign is on for the suicide squeeze that the hitter has to acknowledge it?
The hitter has to answer, and usually, and it became too obvious, was you put your hand on your helmet, on top of your helmet, or there has to be an answer in return. So if there's no answer in return, then it's off. So there's 3 checks.
Rio Ruiz leading off in the second, takes outside 2-0.
When you're doing a suicide squeeze, you're exposing your third base runner to a potential of a swing on a line drive that might take him out. But also the most important thing is that you're both on the same page.
So that doesn't happen.
Correct.
Well. Something broke down along the way. You know, part of it, I'm thinking, I mean, it's a play that the Mets almost never use. It might be the first time this year, maybe the second at most, that we've seen it. And slider swung and missed, 2-2.
We were playing a extra inning game against the Dodgers in '84. I told Danny, who lit off the game, I said, there must have been a flip-flop. He was pinch hitting. I said, if you get on.
Good changeup.
Yes.
And he strikes out Ruiz. Second strikeout for DeGrom.
So I told Danny, if I go to the top of my helmet, that means hit and run. Because it was a 13th inning. It was Pat Zachary was pitching, I remember. And I got in the box, and I always did this. And I did it, and I didn't realize it.
Oh.
And then Zachary went into his stretch. I went, oh my gosh, I gave the sign. So I just swung the bat. I hit a double down the left field line, won the game.
So it could have been that DeGrom inadvertently acknowledged the sign without even knowing that he did.
Yes.
That's really interesting.
Yes. So I told Danny after the game, I said, I almost forgot. He goes, because Danny couldn't run very well, you know. He could hit. All of a sudden, DeGrom, first inning, all the gas he was throwing, 98. This second inning, going to the changeup.
Ahead on Johan Camargo, 0-2. Camargo's had a nice rookie year, 23-year-old from Panama. Just recently back from a month on the disabled list with a knee bruise and getting the start at shortstop tonight. One-two coming, and he jams him. Did he go? He went around. Strike three. So DeGrom, outside soft, inside hard. Back-to-back strikeouts, 2 out. Well, here's DeGrom coming to the plate, and this is Glenn Sherlock going to talk to him right before his at-bat.
Now, this is something I never really understood, that everybody should know the signs, and the third base coach should not have to go down and talk to the batter unless he's a knucklehead and has a history of missing signs.
But again, in a situation where you run a play that, I mean, it's late September and you haven't had to squeeze all year, you haven't seen that sign all year,
and you're asking your pitcher to squeeze bunt a knuckleballer.
So there's a situation that was actually not before the at bat. That was right before the pitch where they messed up. So
who knows?
It's hard to know what could have gone wrong unless he just had a brain cramp. Fly ball down the left field line. Nimmo into foul ground, and that retires Jace Peterson. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Jacob DeGrom after getting the lead. He's up 2-0 as we go to the third. Relief drive this coming Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You can bring canned goods, diapers, water, paper products, stuff like that, between 10 and 7 next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at Citi Field. And it will all be sent down to the Houston Food Bank and an organization in Florida as well to help with hurricane relief. So we encourage you to join the hurricane relief drive. Third inning, Mets up 2-0. Nori Aoki leads off against R.A. Dickey. Aoki flied out to left his first time up. Brandon Nimmo on deck, and then has Drupal Cabrera in the third. And that's hit in the air to deep right field. Back goes Markakis near the wall, and it's off the fence. Markakis plays the carom well, and Aoki scoots into second base with a double. Didn't miss a home run by much, but that's a high fence in right field, and Aoki hit it off the bricks about 3/4 of the way up.
Well, that would have been a home run at Citi Field, most ballparks. 375 in that gap.
18th double of the year for Aoki.
Fastball. Yes, he did. I don't know why RA is so determined to throw that fastball. It's getting hammered.
So the Mets have their 5th hit, their first extra base hit of the night. Here's Nimmo, who hit the ball hard his first time up. Hit it in the gap in right center, and Markakis made a nice play to take a base hit away from him. And the knuckleball in for a strike, 1-1. Knuckler drilled to right center. Overcomes Markakis. He won't get this one. It's all the way back to the wall. Aoki will score easily. Nimmo around second will stop there. Back-to-back doubles for the Mets to start the third. 3-0 New York.
They seem to have a bead on the knuckleball. This doesn't do anything at all. Look at it. Just kind of floats in there.
So Nimmo's 7th double of the year. Drives in a run. And now it's 3-0. And here's Cabrera, who flied out his first time up. And he takes the knuckleball outside. So the Mets have 6 hits in a span of the last 8 batters against Dickey. Trying to beat RA for the first time. It's 4-0 lifetime against the Mets. So we have rarely seen Dickey in these kinds of straits, either as a Met or against him. That's drilled down the right field line by Cabrera. That's a fair ball. That'll go into the corner. Nimmo will score easily. Cabrera to second. 3 straight doubles for the Mets to start this third inning. And the Mets now lead at 4-0. And Dickey getting absolutely tattooed.
Nothing cheap about these hits. These 3 consecutive doubles. Cabrera continuing to rip the bat. Just bullet down that right field line.
10-game hitting streak now for Cabrera, hitting well over 500 during the span. And a visit to the mound from pitching coach Chuck Hernandez, as Dickey has given up 7 hits to the last 9 batters. And there's been nothing cheap about any of them, and that'll get the bullpen cranking. Lucas Sims, a right-hander, gets to work in the Atlanta bullpen.
What do you tell a knuckleballer?
We always wondered that when Dan Worthen went out to talk to Dickey. What do you do?
Well, yeah.
Well, R.A. didn't require a lot of help as a Met. 3 years as a Met, he was 39-28 with a 2.95 ERA. He did not have many days like this, but he's given up hits on his fastball. His knuckleball is not moving very much, and he's giving up hits on that as well. Still nobody out here in the third. Mets now with 7 hits, 4 runs. And here's Dominic Smith, who had the first hit against Dickey, a leadoff single in the second, and he scored the first Met run. And a fastball Flied out to left. Over toward the line comes Peterson. And he reaches back to make the catch. He went too far and then had to go back the other way to lunge and grab it for a difficult first out.
He almost pulled a Kevin Mitchell out there. Not as extreme, though. You remember that play Kevin made the Giants?
He caught the ball with his bare hand. This was a little different. I mean, Peterson was in foul territory, but the ball was in fair territory. So that's the first out. Now d'Arnaud, who had a base hit his first time up, and he takes a fastball outside. We've heard from so many pitchers this year how the baseball is a little different, that the seams are a little flatter,
right? And
it's been blamed for a lot of the blister problems that some pitchers have had. I wonder how it's impacted RA. He's got to dig his fingernails into that baseball.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thought.
Off the end of the bat, a foul ball. Ahmed Rosario waiting on deck. That's already 4 for 7 with runners in scoring position against Dickey. Cabrera at second with 1 out. And fastball in tight, and he's behind on d'Arnaud. Well, we've got the high-speed pitch brought to you by Optimum. This is really not fair.
It's the tortoise and the hare.
Internet speeds up to 4 times faster, and DeGrom 13 miles an hour faster. And a 3-1 knuckleball misses outside, and d'Arnaud is aboard. First walk given up by Dickey. And we'll see how much patience Brian Snitker's going to have here. He's got Lucas Sims up in the bullpen. Should be just about cranked up and ready to go, but Dickey will get at least one more batter as Ahmed Rosario steps in. Rosario in a weak pop fly on the infield his first time up. Still wearing that little pad on the bat to try and alleviate the pressure on his index finger where he has a bruise. There's a double play ball right at Camargo. A turn by Albies for the 6-4-3 double play, and that gets Dickey through the inning. Mets add 2 runs though on 3 consecutive doubles and lead 4-0 in the third. Season's best for Jacob DeGrom. It came back in June when the defending world champion Cubs came to town, and DeGrom was DeGrominant that day. Allowed just 5 hits and 1 run, 116 pitches, went the distance on a 5-hitter. A 6-1 win, his season's best in another outstanding season for the last man standing amongst that quintet of starters who was supposed to dominate the world. R.A. Dickey getting the turn at bat. R.A.'s always been a pretty good hitter. Lifetime 164, has 7 hits this year, 5 RBIs. Speaking of those Cubs, whom DeGrom beat back in June, as Dickey strikes out on the curveball. 4th strikeout, first time through the batting order for Jake. So it's been a good day for the Cubs. Was that a foul ball? I guess it was.
Wow.
So the Cubs beat the Cardinals for the 2nd straight day, and that's their 5th straight win. Kyle Hendricks pitched well into the 8th inning, so that's big. They knocked the Cardinals 5 games back in the Central, and Dickey fouls that one off again. Plus, the Marlins are leading the Brewers tonight. It's 4-1. That game being played in Milwaukee, even though the Marlins are the home team. So it could be a big day for the Cubs. If the Brewers lose, they'll only be 4 games clear of Milwaukee.
Dodgers also beat the Nationals 3-2. That's a fight for the best record. That's a big win for the Dodgers.
It's just about over.
Yep, that just about puts a nail in the coffin.
7 games up, and Dickey, given an extra life, bangs one into center field for a leadoff hit. So we had him struck out. Dickey said, no, I'm going to take my hit.
Makes me break out the whiteout.
Yeah, I hate that. Sorry. Reached down to get that slider, too.
Not a pretty swing. That ball was not a strike.
There's no elegance in the box score. It's all hard numbers.
Hey, that's actually a pitcher's pitch and pretty good hitting.
Here's Inciarte. He takes below the knees, ball 1. So the Dodgers, with their win this afternoon, reduced their magic number to 5 for clinching the NL West, and after losing 16 of 17, they've won 4 in a row. Double play ball. Rosario will make this one easily. 6-6-3. 2 out and nobody on.
Tailor-made double play right there. Ground ball right up the middle. And Ciarte can run, but that was perfect for Rosario to turn the pair.
He could be Carl Lewis. It wouldn't have mattered on that ball.
Bob Hayes. Bullet Bob.
Usain Bolt. 2 out and nobody on. Here's Ozzie Albies, who also runs fast. And he takes the curveball for a strike. Albies walked his first time up. He has a 13-game hitting streak coming into the night. Albies had the honor this year, or the distinction, I guess you'd say, of being the first baseball player born in 1997 to play in the major leagues.
Makes me feel old.
1997. Jeez. Somewhere in high school or college right now, or maybe in the minor leagues, there's going to be the first millennial.
Yes.
The first child of the 2000s to make it to the big leagues.
You're going to need a lot of mental skills coaches for the manager.
Manager may not be much older. 2-2 coming, and that's bounce foul. I mean, the trend is toward younger and younger managers and general managers, as well as younger and younger players making big impacts. Two on the way, and he got inside on him, but Ozzie got a piece of it. I think it would be an interesting project to try and look back over the years and look at the impact that players have had at relatively young ages, right? I mean, there have always been phenoms who've come up at 18, 19, 20 years old and made an impact. But I wonder whether overall players are getting more done at the big league level at younger ages than ever because of all the year-round baseball they play. Albies flies out. DeGrom is through 3 with a 4-0 lead.
Come on, Jake.
Pix11.com/team travel for great deals on Mets away games from cheapoair.com. Final game of the series tomorrow on SNY. Then on to Miami for 3. Back home to play the Nationals and the Braves in the final homestand of the season.
Our colleague Ron Darling had to take the morning flight to Chicago. He's got the game up there in Chicago, and he'll be back for the Miami series. It's rare that the 3 of us are on the road together.
I think we were last September because I remember it was obviously a very meaningful series that we played in Miami right after the death of Jose Fernandez, and we were all 3 there for that. And now we will be playing the first games in Miami since Hurricane Irma hit Florida.
Yes, we will be. I guess everything's okay. I know that Milwaukee. Miami's playing what should be their home series against Milwaukee, but they're playing it up in Milwaukee. But things must be up and running because we are heading out of here tomorrow to Miami after the day game.
Yeah, and the Rays are playing at home this weekend, so things have gotten a little bit more back to normal after Tampa Bay had to play 3 games at Citi Field.
Still, still a lot of people without power.
3-2 to Lagares leading off the 4th, and he takes it outside, ball 4. Second walk given up by Dickey, that time on a 3-2 fastball. All right, Dickey, drafted by the Rangers in 1996, first-round draft pick. That was RA back in the day, pre-beard. He was originally a conventional pitcher, but flamed out, learned the knuckleball, and his career took off from there. Under 19 wins, 117 losses, and an unforgettable 2012 with a trophy on his shelf.
Yes, sir.
They'll never take away.
That's exactly right. It's a great accomplishment.
I mean, he became in so many ways a folk hero, and I was thinking about this today, how over the last half-dozen years or so the Mets have had 2 guys, older pitchers, who have really captured the imagination of Mets fans with Dickey and Cologne. And, you know, both of them had to reinvent themselves along the way, from power pitchers to different kinds of pitchers. Each of them had a compelling personality that really attracted people's affection. And you know, R.A. was beloved by Met fans in a way that was really stunning, particularly on a team that, you know, didn't win a lot in the 3 years he was there.
I think that everybody loves the underdog story. The guy that perseveres, keeps plugging away, doesn't quit.
Cicchini drives one deep to left center, back in the gap, and that ball will bounce up against the wall. Lagares digging for third. He's being waved around. No relay throw. It's an RBI double for Gavin Cicchini, his second RBI hit of the night, and the Mets stretch their lead to 5-0.
Well, I don't think Brian Snitker is going to have much patience at this contest. That's another fastball. He's just getting hammered with the fastball. And Cicchini, nice level swing on that ball, belt high out over the plate. And Lagares, good base running, never hesitates, scores easily.
So now DeGrom, and they'll look for the bunt, and he'll swing away and bounce one foul. So he didn't get the suicide squeeze down the last time, and here, where the Braves looking for the bunt, he swings away. Cicchini at second and nobody out. Mets already up 5-0 in the fourth.
Well,
and he grounds one back to Dickey. Cicchini scrambles back to second, and DeGrom is thrown out one away.
well done by Cicchini there. That's a tough one. You got your lead. Your reaction is to break on the hit. Gets back to the bag. Well done.
And Dickey is always in perfect fielding position. That's why he's able to snag that kind of ground ball.
Well, he's the knuckleballer, which is, you know, you're not exerting a lot of energy when you're throwing 71, 75 mile an hour knuckleball. So you're always, Phil Niekro was the same way. He's always in a position to field.
So one out. Cicchini's still at second. Here's Aoki, who had the first of the 3 consecutive doubles for the Mets in the third inning that played in a couple of runs. And Aoki lifts this one to right, easy for Markakis. Cicchini goes back to tag, and he takes off for third. Markakis with the throw on a hop, not in time. So Cicchini moves to third. Now there are 2 out.
Ball hit in just, you know, normal depth out there, and Cicchini taking advantage of that. A little aggressive base running. Well done.
So 2 out and a runner at third. Now Brandon Nimmo. Nimmo's hit 2 balls hard to right center. First one Markakis caught. Second one went up the gap for a double that drove in a run. It's been a rough day for Dickey already. You know, his Tennessee Volunteers got Hail Married by Florida.
Oh, can't happen. One thing I'll say for RA is always works fast. Gets the ball and throws.
Remember when he was with the Mets, the biggest physical issue he had was with his foot. He had a torn plantar fascia that he pitched through for 3/4 of a season. And it was very painful for him, particularly to run to cover first base. That's hit hard. Freeman, though, able to stop it and retires Nimmo to end the inning. But the Mets cash one more on Cicchini's second RBI hit of the day. 5-0 New York in the fourth. pitch at least a year in Atlanta, where Phil Niekro applied his craft as a knuckleballer who made it to the Hall of Fame.
I always thought that Phil Niekro looked a little bit like Kirk Douglas.
Yes.
Look at that.
I mean, he pitched till he was 80, apparently, from that photo. What a good guy, and what a tremendous pitcher.
First pitch swinging again by Freeman. We mentioned earlier that he swings at 45% of the first pitches, and there's Phil, young Phil, right there. That's probably the first year of the Atlanta Braves. That would have been 69, correct?
66.
Oh, really?
Rosario guns down Freeman for the first out. So Freeman is 1 for 2. And true to his form, DeGrom, after finding trouble in the first inning and pitching out of it, has looked very sharp ever since. Got a 5-0 lead to work with now, trying for win number 15, which would be a new career high.
If your offense gave you 5 runs, he should put that in the bank.
Nick Markakis took a call, third strike his first time up. One of 3 strikeouts for DeGrom so far tonight. You know, you mentioned a couple of innings ago about the Braves pitchers maybe being a little intimidated by the way the ball flew early in the season here at SunTrust Park. First year, new ballpark, trying to get to know what it was going to be like. Well, what's been interesting, the first 10 or so innings that we've seen in this series, that's lined right back to DeGrom for the second out. The ball does not seem to be carrying the same way that it did back in the early season.
Well, if you've noticed the first 2 games we've been here, Gary, the flags over the State Farm side and right center field are limp. When we were here in April, the wind was blowing, blowing out to right field. Pretty strongly. And
this ballpark is built on a rise that's called Windy Hill. But the other thing is there's a lot of construction out there in right field. And I'm wondering, as those buildings get completed, whether that's cutting down on some of the following wind as well. Of course, it won't be for a couple of years till you know exactly how this thing plays. But if you look at the numbers over the course of the season, the Braves are pretty much even home and road. In fact, they've hit more home runs on the road than they've hit at home.
All I know in that first series here, it was worse than old Fulton County.
Yeah, it wasn't
the launching pad.
It wasn't just the home runs either. It was the routine fly balls where outfielders will all of a sudden have to run 20 feet further back just because the ball was carrying that well. There are large openings above the stands beneath the roof that creates kind of a wind tunnel as well. So that when the wind does blow, it certainly does create a little extra boost for the baseball, particularly out to right. But we haven't seen that at all these first 2 games. There are the dimensions for SunTrust Park.
It's a more friendly right field than left field.
Although you have the higher wall in right field.
But still, I'll take that 375. I'm a hitter. That's a double. They can't scale the wall and pull it down.
Let's see, Spider-Man out there. Suzuki out on strikes. Another good inning for DeGrom. He sets him down 1-2-3. That's his 4th strikeout of the night.
Look at that big hole right there. That's it. Get all that grease in there.
That's a big grill, Keith. You couldn't fit this one on your deck.
That's kind of cool.
Maybe Keith's grill should get.
Look
get
at
a,
that.
Get a
That's
round,
got even
round one like that.
It's got wheels. Cool.
What will they think of next? As Dribble Cabrera leading off against R.A. Dickey in the 5th. Cabrera double down the right field line to drive and run in the 3rd. And he taps this one foul. The Mets with 2 in the 2nd, 2 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th against Dickey, who has not been sharp with his knuckleball or his fastball tonight. He's given up 5 runs, 8 hits, walked a couple, has not struck out a batter. Cabrera held the swing, 1-2. So you see the Cleveland Indians started their next winning streak.
They won today.
They beat the Royals 8-4. 3 more hits for Francisco Lindor. So 22 in a row, 1 loss, and now they're off and running again. And their magic number is down to 1 for clinching the AL Central. So if Minnesota loses tonight, the Indians will be the champions of their division, and the Twins are down 3-0 in the 5th against Toronto.
What did Bartolo do last night?
He started well, didn't finish well. That's pulled down to first. Freeman stumbles but recovers to get it to Dickey, 1 away. So Colon was pitching for the Twins last night, and Dylan G is pitching for them right now, and R.A. Dickey's on the mound for the Braves. It's like old Met pitcher day. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by your local Chevy dealers. Visit ChevyOffers.com. Well, of more consequence to the Mets is current Met pitchers, and to that end, as Dominic Smith grounds one out to Camargo at shortstop, and quickly there are 2 out. Noah Syndergaard threw a light bullpen today, and the plan looks like it's going to go this way, that he'll probably throw some kind of a simulated game in the next few days, and maybe next weekend when the Mets play the Nats, at some point during that series, probably will get into a game.
Out of the bullpen.
Well, they may start him.
I would start him. That's what he's used to.
I mean, they're only going to pitch him an inning or 2.
Yeah.
But I think they're more inclined to let him go through his regular routine, start the game, and let somebody piggyback.
Absolutely. You have a long reliever ready. You got plenty of pitchers up from September.
Yeah. And they'll take whoever's scheduled to start that day and just pitch him in the 3rd, whatever it is. I mean, I don't know how many pitches they'll let Syndergaard throw, but it's not going to be more than an inning or 2. But the biggest thing is just to get him out there. I mean, it's been since April 30th since he's been on the big league mound. Darno lines one to Freeman, and that retires the side. Quick inning for Dickey. Gets the side out on just 9 pitches. We're halfway through. 5-0 New York. look north. Well, that's about as short as the list has been in a long time, to be honest. But
it's 8 of them.
It's important ones, and that's the biggest concern. And really, the major concerns are on the right side of that ledger, the position players going into next year, because you don't know if Conforto's going to be ready. You don't know if T.J. Rivera, who had Tommy John surgery yesterday, is going to be ready. You hope that Cespedes' leg will be able to carry him through a full season without concern. And David Wright, there's no way of knowing at all what his future holds. So it really makes planning for next season and
yes,
going into the free agent market and the trade market that much more complicated for Sandy Alderson.
Right. Conforto's the big wrench in the machine. I mean, you just don't know about, how long the recovery time for him is. And boy, that's a lot of uncertainty.
It could be anywhere from he's ready to go opening day to he's not able to play full strength all season. It could be anywhere between those two things, and there's no way to know that until you get there. So how do you plan? Do you bring in a big bat because you think Conforto, you have to cover for the possibility that Conforto is not available? It's hard. I mean, he's arguably your most important offensive piece.
Well, he's the 1-2 punch. It's him and Cespedes, and you got a left-right combination there, which is even better. And I do feel that Conforto is a third hitter, and Cespedes is more of a cleanup hitter.
2-2 to Rio Ruiz, and the changeup. He half swings it, but stopped it in time. I think the Rivera injury, it complicates things too, because if it weren't for the Tommy John surgery, T.J. Rivera would be a prime candidate to be the Mets' second baseman next year. But again, you have no idea if he's going to be ready opening day or halfway through the season or what. And Tommy John surgery for position players, as Ruiz walks, isn't going to take as long as for a pitcher, but it's still going to be 7-8 months, so there's great uncertainty there. So do you go out and get a second baseman? Do you promote from within? There are so many questions.
Well, even if you didn't have these question marks, Conforto in particular, there's a lot of patching up to build this ball club back. There's a lot of holes, a lot of work to be done.
Well, they hung their hat on having dominant starting pitching this year, and obviously injuries curtailed that to a certain extent, but so did underperformance. I mean,
this whole season snowballed right from the get-go. It's just like nothing went right.
Johan Camargo struck out his first time up, and he hits a double play ball. Cicchini with a nice stop, flips it to Rosario, who drops it on the transfer, so he's out.
Tag him just to be safe because of the
base umpire Nick Marley called Ruiz out, but you're right, they should have tagged him.
Should have tagged him because he broke off the bag, and we're talking about the back runner here, Ruiz. Now he's going off and trying to run. Tag him, he's out. Just to be safe.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The way the replay rules are now, you should tag him anyway, but it looks like the Braves are not going to challenge because clearly that was on the transfer. So it's a 4-6 fielder's choice. Good stop by Cicchini to start the thing, but then
that ball
slowed down from there.
Ball ate up Cicchini. He couldn't get it out of his glove. And that's these fast infields on the major league, all the major league ballparks. They are putting greens, and that ball gets to you quick. You have got to have your hands down, facing home plate, ready to field.
So Camargo at first, and Peterson takes a strike. 2 bobbles for the price of 1, but at least they got an out.
I'd rather see 2 games for the price of 1.
Well, you'll see that a week from Monday, Keith. Old-fashioned twilight doubleheader between the Mets and these Atlanta Braves.
Well, the old-fashioned was usually at 5:30.
Well, that's when you played 2-hour 15-minute games.
And it was always the first game, and that first half of that first game was the sun was going down, always in the shadows, tough to hit.
0-2, and Peterson takes it high.
Got my soul beanie right here in the old Fulton County Stadium. Larry McWilliams. I'm the 0-2 on a twilight doubleheader. First game, first or second inning, just went right off my helmet, ricocheted off my helmet, put like a crease right between my STL and my logo on my helmet.
And were you okay?
Because it glanced. If it had been 3 inches, 4 inches lower, it had my face. I didn't get my hands up in time. I went down, and I was sitting on my fanny, and I'm just going, because everything's in slow motion when it comes in, and you see it, and you go, okay, is it a breaking ball? No, it's not a breaking ball. And I started bailing out, and he had a fastball that ran in, and it followed me, and I could have swore I could have got my hands up, but they didn't get there.
And did you suffer a concussion?
No, it just was a glancing ball.
And did you stay in the game?
I stayed in the game.
So you didn't have to have X-rays?
Nope.
Because I'm thinking about the time Dizzy Dean got hit in the head, and they took him for X-rays, and the report was that X-rays showed nothing.
Well, it's finding rocks.
2-2 to Peterson, and that's on the outside corner. DeGrom takes care of Peterson with the off-speed pitch, and he's got his 5th strikeout of the night.
He's got that beautiful backdoor slider to the left-handers. When he pounds them in, it's a good go-to strikeout pitch. But it's all set up with him pounding in. Look at the fanny flying out.
Now Adonis Garcia will bat for R.A. Dickey. It's been a lost year for Garcia, who began the year as the Braves' starting third baseman. But a pair of injuries have cost him playing time and ultimately his job. Just got activated off the disabled list a few days ago.
Well, a guy like Garcia, he's got to hit because the glove is not his bright spot.
And that just missed. Garcia went down with an Achilles tendon in the middle of May, came back, and then 2 weeks later had to have surgery to repair ligament damage in a finger, and missed 3 more months. And he grounds one down to third, handled by Cabrera, goes the short way, and that retires the side. 5 scoreless innings for Jacob deGrom. Things going Jake's way today. He's got a 5-0 lead going to the 6th.
Pitch to Piazza. Swinging a drive deep down the left field line toward the corner. It's out of here! Out of here!
was a memorable game.
I remember that home run and that swing right there from Mike. That's what he was so good at, Gary. As you look at Lucas Sims here, the rookie, came up August 1st, started 6 games, was 2-4 as a starter. This is his 4th relief appearance.
That game, the Mets were down 8-1 going to the bottom of the 8th, and they scored 10 runs to take the lead. Did you see who he hit the home run off? Do you remember?
No.
The guy you have a little history with. Think about a ground ball you hit that stuck in somebody's glove.
Oh, Mulholland.
Terry Mulholland.
It's right over the top, straight
guy.
gas. I had a conversation with Mike once, and he said he never was a left-hander that bothered him, and I believe it. But that swing right there, Mike, a lot of guys come in with their hands to get you can't get your hands inside the ball. Mike just knew how to get that quick bat through. He was so quick, and I saw him do that too many times. It was part of his swing, and you think you can get a fastball by him inside, and he was so quick in there. And he recoiled, basically. You saw his body move back to get that bat through, and that was just a 2-iron down. I remember that home run like it happened yesterday.
Ahmed Rosario 0 for 2 tonight, and he lines that one toward left center. On comes Peterson to get it 1 away. Lucas Sims, first-round draft pick by the Braves out of high school in 2012, an Atlanta area kid. Snellville, Georgia.
They love the draft out of Georgia, don't they?
Well, the kid next door, first-round pick from the local area. That would be
Frenchie.
Jeff Francoeur. His buddy Brian McCann, another guy from the area. Here's Juan Lagares, who's been on base twice, a single and a walk. He's driven in a run. He's scored a run. Sims might have made it to the big leagues faster, but he was involved in a bus crash while he was in the minor leagues 2 years ago, and that cost him half a season. Big, strong kid, though. Good arm.
Well, if I looked over the roster as we came to Atlanta, Gare, and a lot of #1 picks are up here for the Braves. They're kind of showing off their draft picks.
And for the Mets.
And for the Mets. This is the time of year.
Sims was the 21st overall pick in 2012 for the Braves. Grounded toward the middle, and over goes Camargo to get it, and he throws out Lagares. That's the same year the Mets drafted Gavin Cecchini with the 12th overall pick. And now Cecchini will bat against Sims.
It's the same year with
2012 draftees.
Same year Corey Seager, correct?
I think Seager went 18th in that draft. In between Cecchini and Sims.
Fascinating.
Cecchini having a good night, a single and a double. He's driven in 2 runs. And he takes a fastball strike. So Dickey went 5 innings. He allowed 5 runs and 8 hits. Walked 2 and did not strike out a batter. And that's lofted into shallow left, and that'll fall for a base hit. And Cecchini is 3 for 3. Didn't hit that one hard, but dumped it into left field.
No, that'll get Cecchini off the interstate there to make him happy. Is 3 for 3. Came into the game hitting 190. Not a lot of playing time.
First 3-hit game of Cecchini's career. And now Jacob deGrom fouls away a fastball. Jake is 0 for 2. He's fouled out and hit a comebacker. Mets 5 runs and 9 hits. The Braves no runs and 2 hits. DeGrom has been on top of his game tonight. Mets are trying to do something they have yet to do in September, and that is win a road game. The Mets' last road win came August 30th in Cincinnati. That was that great game Rafael Montero pitched when he took a one-hitter into the 9th inning. They've lost 8 straight road games since then.
Well, after this game tonight, there'll be 14 games left on the schedule. 7 home and 7 away.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd throw it in there.
Okay.
You know, we got three hours plus to fill air time. I just thought I'd throw it in there. It's a mixed bag.
You had that notated. 7 and 7. And DeGrom hits one right at the second baseman, Albies. And so Sims puts up a 0 in the top of the 6th. The Mets still lead it 5-0. SunTrust Park. If you want a gastronomic experience, go to Citi Field.
Agreed. But look at this nice crowd for a team that's playing the season out.
I've been very impressed with the crowds the last 2 nights.
Tremendous crowd tonight. It's almost filled up.
First year, new ballpark. Everybody trying to get on the action. And all Mets tonight. There's the Infinity Braves box score. Infinity empowered the drive. Only 2 hits, and Ari Dickey had one of them. Freddie Freeman had the other in the first inning against Jacob deGrom, who's thrown only 71 pitches to get through 5 innings. And now at the top of the batting order, 3rd time through for the Braves in the bottom of the 6th. Ender Inciarte is 0 for 2. He's fly down, grounded into a double play.
That's a big inning for deGrom right here, top of the order.
I think it should be deGrom's goal tonight as he starts this 6th inning to get through 8 and hand the ball to A.J. Ramos, who hasn't pitched in a week.
How about a rare complete game? I don't know. His pitch count is probably not going to get there.
He's not going to do that. And I think also the Mets need to get Ramos into a game. The Mets have been just smoked these last few days.
Yes, they have.
52 runs in the last 5 games, the most runs the Mets have ever given up in a 5-run span in their history.
Yep.
And that's what makes what deGrom is doing tonight that much more important. Just stopping the bleeding.
And everybody's been the culprit too. The bullpen, the starters.
Well, the last time the Mets had a starter go 5 innings, it was DeGrom's last start. And he's just blowing the ball by Inciarte. You can really see Inciarte is affected by that thumb injury that he suffered earlier in the week. He's just not swinging the bat the same way. And vulnerable inside.
A little tentative.
Yeah. D'Arnaud stays inside, and Inciarte able to foul that one off.
So when you got a guy that's hampered and put at a disadvantage with a sore wrist, sore thumb, sore finger, sore hand, you don't want to throw off speed stuff. It's reminiscent of what Eckersley did in the World Series.
Right.
And the home run that Gibson hit, dramatic home run.
Jake off the mound and retires Inciarte easily. 1 away.
Oop.
And Inciarte was not happy about that at bat, apparently. 1 out and nobody on. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve.
Guys, when Ozzie Albies was called up a month and a half ago, there was some concern in the organization that he would be exposed a little bit. He had a lot of moving parts in his swing, a big loop, an exaggerated leg kick, a lot of things, in other words, for pitchers to take advantage of. But hitting coach Kevin Seitzer wanted to let things be initially. He knew change would only come if Albies knew and thought he had to make the change. And sure enough, he was exposed early on. 14 games into his career, was hitting 170. He came to the coaching staff, said, okay, what do I need to work on? And they really did dig in, get to work. They've limited that leg kick a little bit, flattened out his swing, and the results have been really noticeable, hitting over 340 since August 17th.
I find it interesting that the athletes today, this generation of athletes, are more wanting coach. They want help.
They're seeking information.
I mean, how can you say that, okay, just this little brief period of time, you're nervous, you just broke into the big leagues, you're not feeling, you're coming up from the minor leagues where you've always hit, you're feeling good, but it's the big leagues now, and you're trying to make your mark. Why so early would you want to make a change? It seems like it's a little bit of a panic button there. What got you to the dance? What got you here? But I don't know what to say. I'm running out of words on this subject.
Albies grounds one foul, 3-2. Well, I think, you're talking about a generation of players who have been coached very hands-on from a young age on. I mean, we see it inning by inning with pitchers at the big league level in the dugout. It used to be a starting pitcher was left alone while he was pitching. Pitching coach didn't talk to him during the game unless there was something severely wrong. Now they talk to them after every inning when they come into the dugout.
Usually after the outing, you would go over what went wrong.
Albies strikes out on the high fastball, and DeGrom has his 6th strikeout of the night.
I just think it creates, Gary, a dependence, and that's what worries me. I want my team, if I was a coach, I would want them to think for themselves and try to figure it out for themselves, not look for the crutch, the helping hand. It's there as a safety valve, as a lifesaver at the very extreme, but figure it out yourself.
Here's Freddie Freeman, and he lifts one to left, hit well. Back goes Nimmo to the warning track near the wall. It's out of here. Freddie Freeman, first pitch swinging, opposite field home run, his 27th, and that breaks up the DeGrom shutout. It's now 5-1 New York. 27 home runs and only 388 at bats for Freddie Freeman. Remember, he missed a month and a half with a broken wrist. He still may get to 30 home runs.
Oh, I think he will. There's a backdoor slider, but he was sitting and he wasn't going to get fooled on that. And there's that slide uppercut. He knows how to lift it, and Freddie also a very big and strong man. That's near that 385 spot there. That's a long way.
So Freeman gets the Braves on the board, and now Nick Markakis takes a slider for a strike.
27th home run of the year given up by DeGrom. That is a career high for him.
By far. Really been the biggest crimp in his game this year, but of course that's a baseball wide phenomenon. And as Markakis tries to hold, and he stopped it in time. You know, coming into today, there had already been 28 players with 30 or more home runs in baseball, and 105 with 20 or more. I mean, baseball is going to break a record this year for most home runs ever in a season. But it's still impressive what Freeman's doing, considering that he missed 6 weeks.
Yes.
It's the best home run rate of his career by far. Markakis is struck out and line one back to DeGrom. And he gets jammed and rolls one down to Smith. And that retires the side. Freeman's home run gets the Braves on the board, but it's 5-1 Mets after 6. Third for Fan Appreciation Weekend. The Mets played the Nationals at 7:10. After the game, fans can enjoy a fireworks show that will light up the Citi Field sky, presented by Verizon. For tickets, visit Mets.com/fireworks. Infinity Mets box score. Infinity empower the drive. Big night for Gavin Cecchini, 3 for 3. Couple of RBIs. Mets put together 3 straight doubles in the third. RBIs for Nimmo and Cabrera. All of that against R.A. Dickey, who went 5 innings, gave up 5 runs and 8 hits. Mets trying to beat Dickey for the first time ever. Top of the batting order, Nori Aoki up against Lucas Sims, who starts his second inning of relief. Aoki is 1 for 3. He got that doubles party started in the third inning by banging one off the wall in right center.
Sims is a sinker slider pitcher.
And he dots the outside corner, 2-1. Nimmo on deck, then Cabrera for the Mets in the 7th. 23-year-old Lucas Sims gets it in on Aoki, who fouls it off. 2-2. Sims' 4th relief outing. He made 7 starts for the Braves this year. Called up August 1st. And Aoki slashes one foul. 2-2 coming. Another foul ball. Eighth pitch of the at bat to Aoki. The breaking ball sits high. 3-2. And Aoki lifts one to left center, hit pretty well back in the gap. That's going to land for a base hit. Aoki trying for two, and he'll make it with his second double of the night. Looked like a routine fly ball off the bat, but Peterson and Inciarte were playing relatively shallow, and it landed behind them.
How does that happen? That's just poor placement. This is a fly ball. If I'm a pitcher, I'm ticked off. I got an F7 here. Wow.
Peterson, who's an infielder who plays the outfield occasionally, was playing so shallow he had no chance to get there. Inciarte was pretty shallow as well. So Aoki takes advantage. Two doubles tonight, and the Mets have their 10th hit. Nimmo has one of those doubles. It drove in a run in the third inning, and Brandon takes a fastball for a strike. Second hit given up by Sims. The other one was a soft single by Cicchini in the last inning. So the two hits the Mets have managed against this young right-hander have not exactly been well struck. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by NYU Langone Orthopedics. One to Nimmo with Cabrera on deck. And Brandon lays off. Fastball misses. 2-1. And that one caught Suzuki. Reveals the glow on his fingernails, but this one a really sensitive spot, and it'll take him a few moments to feel better.
That's the Wicked Witch is dead.
Oh, I get it now. It took me a moment. That's so unsympathetic. Did you ever catch, Keith?
No. Left-handed.
Well, come on, Little League, high school.
So we'd always needle the catchers when that happened. I got some bad hops where it went ding-dong.
You always wear a cup in the field?
Always wear a cup.
I know there are certain pitchers that I have known who refuse to. And, you know, get hit, it'd be a problem. Suzuki back in action now, and a full count to Nimmo. Aoki at second and nobody out. 3-2 to Nimmo. Ball four. Do you know how long our truck has been waiting to do that?
Tonight?
They've been waiting days for Nimmo to draw a walk so they could use their little call to the post for his sprint to first base.
I see.
Good job, guys. Good patience. Staying within yourself. unleashing the hounds at the right moment. So the Mets have the first two men on in the seventh, and now here's Cabrera, an RBI double tonight, 1 for 3. Now has a 10-game hitting streak, just scorchingly hot, and now going up against the rookie right-hander Sims, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Striking, it's 0-2. Sims ahead 0-2, and Cabrera lays off the curveball. Jason Mott is up in the Atlanta bullpen. He was just activated off the disabled list. Dominic Smith on deck. Here's the former Iona catcher. Former Cardinals closer. One-two coming, and that's up high. 2-2. Since there were a lot of pitches here in the seventh after a relatively benign sixth.
His arm lags behind. That's why he gets up. He's a sinker ball pitcher. He's got to get on top of that ball. And his arm lags. It just flattens out. His sinker, that is.
On the inside corner, and Cabrera's caught looking.
Well, he made the pitch on him there.
First strikeout for Sims. 1 out in the seventh, and now Dominic Smith comes up. Dom is 1 for 3, singled and scored a run in the second. Aoki led off the inning with a double. Nimmo walked. Mets scored 2 in the second, 2 in the third, and 1 in the fourth off R.A. Dickey. And so far that has been plenty for Jacob deGrom. And first pitch curveball for a strike to Smith. And Lucas drives one deep in the gap in right center field, and that ball will short hop the wall. Aoki will score. Right behind him is Nimmo, streaking for the plate. The throw by Albies not in time. Heading for third is Smith. He'll be thrown out there. But it's a double for Dominic Smith that drives in 2, and the Mets now lead 7-1.
Good hitting by Dominic. Sinker that doesn't sink, comes out over the middle of the plate, and he takes advantage of that. Continues to hit in the clutch, driving in 2 more runs tonight. A little ill-advised here. When the throw, he's got a break on the throw, but he took his time. He slowed up going into second base.
8-4-2-5 on the put out at third for the second out. Now a fly ball out to left off the bat of d'Arnaud. That's put away by Peterson, and that retires the side. But Dominic Smith cashes 2 with a double to stretch the Mets lead to 7-1 at the 7th inning stretch. some of the midseason acquisitions. Here's how they're doing. This is just the National League guys. J.D. Martinez probably has had the biggest impact of any acquisition. 23 home runs since joining the Diamondbacks, 39 for the year. Yu Darvish has been up and down. Jose Quintana we saw the other day. Sean Doolittle and Brandon Kinsler have turned around that Nationals bullpen, which was dreadful early and is a strength now.
Well, Darvish has probably been more of the disappointment of all those 5. The other 4 have really plugged holes in those contending teams.
Kurt Suzuki takes outside from Jacob deGrom as we start the bottom of the 7th. Suzuki has popped up and struck out. The guys the Mets traded away, it's kind of been a mixed bag. Jay Bruce is well, his team is 32-6 since he got to Cleveland. He's had a good time. That's pulled down to third, playing behind the bag. Cabrera, perfect spot to be. The throw to first on a hop is dug out by Smith, and they get Suzuki. And another third baseman intentionally bouncing a throw to first. The old AstroTurf play.
Well, beautiful backhand. And Cabrera has played a nice, very nice third base, and that seems to be the vogue throw now.
I've seen that more this week, Keith, than I've seen since the AstroTurf disappeared.
Well, I don't know. Cabrera's, a shortstop by trade, so he's got to make a long throw.
One out and nobody on. Now Rio Ruiz takes a strike. Let's check in with Steve.
Guys, while the move to third base has looked pretty seamless for Asdrubal Cabrera, he said that at times it's been tough. The toughest part has been getting used to that bigger glove. He's used to playing with an 11 1/4 inch glove in the middle infield. This is 11 3/4 inches, and he said especially the first 2 to 3 weeks he would put his glove down a little too far and catch a lot of balls in the heel of the mitt. So he's still getting used to that glove, feeling a lot better now than he did early on.
Is it necessary, Keith, for a third baseman to use a larger glove, or could he use a middle infielder's glove if he felt more comfortable?
That's a good question. I think it depends on the individual. I mean, you definitely need a smaller glove if you're a middle infielder to turn to double play.
Especially at second base.
Especially at second base. Third base, you can use a bigger glove, but whatever's comfortable for you.
deGrom handles the comebacker from Ruiz, and quickly there are 2 out. Well, Jake with 6 2/3 innings under his belt. That gets him to 195 innings this year. It's a new career high for him for the regular season. His goal was to get to 200, and he is probably going to do that his next time out. Next start should be the opener of the series against the Nationals Friday night. You know, we're supposed to be working outdoors Friday night.
Where?
At Citi Field.
Where in Citi Field? Whose idea was this?
Camargo hits one past the mound. He hits the bag, and that'll get Camargo a base hit. Rosario was going to be right there to field it, but the ball hits the cushion, and Camargo gets himself a fortunate hit.
I'll say Rosario's got this covered like a blanket. Well, that's the breaks.
It's just the 4th Atlanta hit. Forces deGrom to throw a few more pitches here in the 7th. I believe we're going to be somewhere out in the neighborhood of the Shea Bridge next Friday.
I don't mind it out there.
City Pavilion is the
what game?
Friday.
See how I pay attention to you?
Base hit for Peterson. So after the fortunate hit by Camargo, Peterson follows with his first hit of the night. And the Braves have 2 men on.
Fifth hit for the Braves.
And now Matt Adams will pinch hit for Atlanta. Adams has been waylaid with a hamstring injury the last few days.
.291 hitter against right-handers with 16 home runs off the bench for the Braves. He's 10 for 37 as a pinch hitter with 2 home runs and 11 RBI.
And he is 2 for 6 in his career against Jacob deGrom. And Dan Warth is going to go out and talk to Jake before he pitches to Adams. Adams, remember, began the year with the Cardinals, picked up by the Braves because he Well, there was really no room at the inn for him in St. Louis, and he hit so well when he first arrived in Atlanta that when Freddie Freeman came back from the disabled list, Freddie for a while moved to third base so that Adams could play every day.
What was
Josh
the
Smoker quickly to work in the Mets bullpen.
What was the verdict on Freddie's third base play?
He said he did okay, but he said it affected his hitting. So he.
Well, you can't have that.
Yeah. And then Adams cooled down, and so it kind of made the whole thing unnecessary. But now here's Adams, who has played a little bit of outfield lately, batting, trying to get the Braves back into this game. Camargo and Peterson with back-to-back 2-out hits. And Adams takes ball one. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Honda. Great deals are waiting at your Honda dealers.
Adams is a big monster. Didn't he hit that big home run off Kershaw in the postseason when he was St. Louis? That beat Kershaw?
I believe he did.
Yeah, the hanging curveball. Big home run. I forget the year. Way off the plate.
Popped up foul. Well, the Cardinals had Kershaw's number a couple of times in the postseason. Matt Carpenter beat him the 1 year.
Left-hand hitters.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, that's going to be the test for Kershaw, right?
It
Trying
will
to get the Dodgers to the World Series.
It's the monkey on his back, as the expression goes.
I mean, he certainly pitched wonderfully last year in the postseason, but not enough. 1-2 coming. Up and away. Rom now at 100 pitches for the night. Well, if it hadn't been for that hit off the second base bag by Camargo, you could have envisioned Jake getting through 8 tonight. Now he's just trying to struggle his way through this 7th. He's got a 7-1 lead. 2 out, 2 on, 2-2 to Adams. Struck him out. Away at 97 for his 7th strikeout of the night. DeGrom strands 2 more. We go to the 8th with the Mets up 7-1.
If you'll indulge me for one moment, I simply want to repeat a line that I said over and over and over again for 17 years. Hello, everybody. This is Lindsey Nelson with Ralph Kiner and Bob Murphy at Shea Stadium in New York. Thank you.
Mets' original 3 broadcasters inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame in 1984. Bob Murphy, Lindsey Nelson, Ralph Kiner.
Now, me being a West Coast kid, I did not know Lindsey Nelson was. We did not get Met games, obviously.
Jason Mott pitching for the Braves in the 8th.
A former Cardinal closer, Cubs last year with Colorado. I knew Lindsey Nelson from Sunday morning, Notre Dame football. They would do the highlights, and he was the TV voice of Notre Dame
with Paul Hornung.
Yes.
The jackets, well, those were his trademark.
That was his trademark.
He would go into every men's store and say, "Give me your absolute most garish, ugly jackets," and those became his go-to, his trademark. He had hundreds of them. The jackets nobody else wanted. Rosario strikes out, and Mott gets him with a cutter for the first out. Well, what's amazing about those 3, Lindsey, Ralph, and Bob, is that the 3 of them did every inning of every game, radio and television.
Right. They switched.
One guy would do radio, the other 2 would be on TV, and every 2 or 3 innings they'd switch.
Probably, I would think every third inning.
Well, there was a rotation. Ralph did more TV than radio. Bob did more radio than TV. And of course, Ralph, for the home games, he'd go downstairs in the 8th inning, get ready for Kiner's corner.
Now, back in the early days, was Ralph strictly the analyst, and Lindsey?
No, they always both did.
Okay.
They all did their radio where they do play-by-play. So I think Ralph did 2 innings on radio, and maybe Murph did 4, Lindsey did 3, something like that.
So where was Ralph's training? Did Ralph learned on the job?
He had done some broadcasting, I believe, with the White Sox before he came to the Mets. But he was, he was a neophyte when the Mets began. But then, so was everybody.
Yes. It's got to start somewhere.
Murph was the guy who had done baseball every day because he had worked for the Orioles and for the Red Sox before he came to New York. Lindsey was more associated with football than with baseball, but he was the bigger national name. He had done, national radio and national TV college football for years and was a big name.
Right.
And Ralph, of course, was the big National League star whom they brought home to give them that credibility.
Look at those outfits. Can we see that again, guys? Look at that. At least they're wise enough when they have the check jackets to wear the solid ties.
That's the 70s, my friend.
You got it.
Now, I don't know if you know this, but Lindsey was there for 17 years through 1978, and then he went to San Francisco. Now, you were playing, so you probably didn't get to hear him working with Hank Greenwald with the Giants.
I met Lindsey. You jogged my memory. Now there's more great photos right there. That's obviously on the road right there. It's not.
It's like might be St. Louis. Half swing, and Lagares went around. So again, Mott uses the cutter for a strikeout. He's got back-to-back strikeouts to start the 8th. So Mott just back from the disabled list and looking like he's in mid-season form.
So do you think, Gare, in 30 years, 40 years, they'll throw our photograph of us out there in the future Met broadcasts, along with Lindsey, Ralph, and Bob?
If that's going to be the case, Keith, then we better get ourselves some check jackets so we can pose for some really nifty photos. Because I think the stock we have right now is a little too pedestrian.
What are we, our 12th year?
This is our 12th year. So we still have a few years to catch that trio. And even if we're able to get to 17 years together as a 3-man booth, we'll never match what they did.
No.
I mean, because they were doing really 2 broadcasts a day with just the 3 of them, and we only do the 1.
And they had Kiner's corner.
Cicchini having his best day as a big leaguer. 3 hits and now retired for the first time as Mott gets him on the comebacker. Strong inning for Jason Mott as we go to the bottom of the 8th. There they are, the original 3. Lindsey, Ralph, and Bob. None better ever. Chrysler Pacifica. Mets have had the lead since the 2nd inning. Jacob deGrom done after 7 terrific innings tonight, en route to what he hopes will be his 15th win. Jake went 7, allowed 1 run, 5 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. So Keith, we did it quickly, but we've got our photo. We've got our photo for posterity. This is what they're going to be showing 30 or 40 years from now.
Oh my!
What do you think?
I look like Hank Stram over there. all I need is the Chief, the Kansas City Chief logo on the breast pocket.
Oh, I think Ronnie's works perfectly because, you know, he's colorblind, so he has no idea what he's wearing there. So that works out just perfectly. He looks like he's I don't know, ready to sell some plastics. Jerry's Familia will pitch the bottom of the 8th. Ender Inciarte lines his first pitch into left center for a base hit. So Inciarte has his first hit of the night, and the Braves have the leadoff man on in the bottom of the 8th against Familia.
Been a tough slog for Jay Reese. Of course, coming off the surgery with the blood clot, and he's missed a lot of season. They're just trying to get him back to throwing and get into his rhythm. There's his numbers.
Looked better his last time out in Chicago on Thursday. Worked a 1-2-3 inning with a couple of strikeouts. The biggest problem came when he tried to pitch back-to-back days. The second day he just didn't have it. But he's had a day off in between now. Ozzie Albies the batter. And a check swing roller to third, might be 2. Throw to second for 1. Cicchini has no relay with Albies' speed going down the line. Confusion there at the bag as to who was going to cover, with the Mets in a bit of a shift. Rosario, who would not normally cover on a ground ball to third base, was moving toward the bag, and that created a little confusion.
And I think it also created a little indecision with Cabrera. He took his time to throw. I don't think he knew who was going to go to the bag. So I think it kind of, Cabrera said, uh-oh, I just think I'd better just throw the bag, and someone's got to get there.
Why would Rosario even consider covering?
I agree.
In that spot.
I agree.
Here's Freddie Freeman, who homered for the only Braves run in the 6th. And he hits a jam shot to second, might be 2. Cicchini to Rosario on to first, not in time. Freeman beat it out, but that's the second out of the inning.
Freddie runs well for a big guy.
So, Familia's thrown 3 pitches. They've all been put into play. The base hit by Inciarte, and then the back-to-back fielder's choices. And now we'll face Markakis with 2 out and a runner at first. Nick is 0 for 3, struck out, line one back to the mound and grounded out. So DeGrom, with his effort tonight, 7 innings, 1 run, lowered his ERA from 3.63 to 3.55, which might be good enough to get him back in the top 10 in the National League by the end of the night. He also struck out 7 tonight to get him to 228 strikeouts for the year. And the 7 innings get him to 195 and a third innings. So a big night for DeGrom.
Well, he entered tonight's contest 2nd in the National League in strikeouts, 5th in the major leagues.
2nd to Scherzer in the National League. I think he was 28 behind when the night began.
It's good velocity on Jay Arias. That's good to see. He throws that heavy ball. And he's just a big moose out there on the mound, too.
Two 2-0 to Markakis, and ball 3. Kurt Suzuki would be next.
Ooh, good sinker right there. That's the one we've come to know and love. All you Met fans sitting on your couch at home, you saw it.
Grounded down to Smith at first. That is a fair ball, and the side retired. Smith was playing in. Don't know why, but he was in the perfect spot to grab that grounder. Still 7-1. Cody Bellinger tied the National League rookie record held by Wally Berger, Frank Robinson, and now Bellinger, 38 home runs. That's the National League record for rookies. Dodgers now win their 4th in a row. Cubs extend their lead to 5 games over St. Louis. Good performance by Kyle Hendricks today. The Brewers could be 4 games out at night's end unless they can rally against the Marlins. And the Diamondbacks off to the early lead against the Giants as lefty Max Fried, no relation to Dave, takes over for the Braves.
Well, you see his 6-game numbers. Nothing to write home about. 10 walks and 15 1/3. That's not up to snuff. 17 hits.
First round draft pick by the Padres. Braves got him in the Justin Upton deal out of Harvard Westlake High School in LA. Phillip Evans will be the pinch hitter for New York. Evans pinch hit last night and flied out, 2 for 6 in his brief big league career. Top of the ninth, 7-1 New York, and the first pitch to Evans is a fastball for a strike. R.A. Dickey went the first 5 for the Braves, allowed 5 runs, 8 hits. Lucas Sims 2 innings, 2 runs, 3 hits. Jason Mott very impressive in the 8th, 1, 2, 3 with a couple of strikeouts. And Evans takes the curveball for a strike, and it's 0-2. Fried has made 2 starts for the Braves. This is now his 5th relief appearance. 23 years old. From the same neck of the woods as Robert Gazelman, both born in Santa Monica the same year. And the curveball, he went around strike 3, and Evans is down on strikes for the first out in the ninth. Wake up with Betty, Dan Byron, and the rest of the Picks Morning News crew with breaking news, traffic, and sports, plus the latest weather to keep you in the know. Mornings from 5 to 9 on the Picks 11 Morning News, New York's very own. It's been a good night for Nori Aoki with a pair of doubles, 1 to right center, 1 to left. He has scored 2 runs. Well, there is A.J. Ramos.
Yeah, he needs some work, doesn't he?
He certainly does. It's not going to be a save situation, but he needs to get in the game. Ramos has not pitched in 8 days. Last pitched against the Reds a week ago Friday.
8 days a week.
It's not enough to show I care. Knocked down by Camargo. He picks it up and throws him out. Nice play by Camargo to get in front of that ball to handle the offbeat hop. And Aoki retired 2 out. Monday night, Eli Manning and the Giants battle Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions live from the Meadowlands. Coverage begins at 7:30 right here on New York's very own Picks 11. Here's Nimmo, who's doubled and walked tonight. He's driven in a run. He's scored 2. And a half swing, takes a fastball for a strike. Looking ahead to the bottom of the ninth, the Braves will have Suzuki, Ruiz, and Camargo due up. And the curveball from Fried misses. A ball and a strike. I wonder if Fried's handwriting is any better than Dave's.
Well, he's got a long way to catch up to Dave.
Wonder if his statistical skills are in line with our chief statistician.
I would think they wouldn't be. He's trained in a whole different area. He's not trained in numbers.
I bet when he speaks you can understand what he says. Max. One two coming. And the curveball misses to Nimmo. 2-2. Tomorrow, final game of this series. Robert Gazelman will pitch for the Mets. Julio Teheran for the Braves. That'll be on SNY. 1:30 start tomorrow. And the fastball right down the middle gets Nimmo looking. So a strong inning for Max Fried. 1-2-3 with a couple of strikeouts. To the bottom of the ninth. 7-1 New York. on speed up.
Be nice.
Speed up rules. 7-1 New York as we go to the bottom of the ninth. A.J. Ramos will pitch for the first time in 8 days.
Last time he pitched was at home against Cincinnati, where he got 2/3 of an inning and a save. 7 saves for the Mets. 27 for the season. 6th in the National League.
No save opportunity here. Trying to get the Mets their first road win in the month of September. And snap an overall 5-game losing streak. Kurt Suzuki will lead off. He's popped up, struck out, and grounded out. It'll be Suzuki, then Ruiz and Camargo in the last of the ninth. And Ramos starts him off with a fastball strike, and we check in with Steve.
Gary, it's interesting to listen to A.J. Ramos talk about how he approaches non-safe situations. He says when it's not a safe spot, that's a good time to work on some things. Work on a two-seamer into a lefty, maybe refine the cutter a little bit. So that's how you really build confidence in it. Then you feel confident and you add it into the safe situations as a weapon.
Okay, but don't get carried away with it.
One thing about A.J. that's been really apparent watching him with regularity is that he will never give in. He will walk you before he gives you some fat to hit. And his walk numbers have always been high. And so, you know, if you're a fan of the team that Ramos pitches for, sometimes he can drive you crazy in those closing situations. But he seems to get tougher and tougher as there are men on base.
Well, he's tough, but he loves his breaking ball.
And he's behind on Suzuki, 3-1. Trying to finish this one off for Jacob deGrom and get Jake his 15th win of the year.
Be a career high for Jake, taking him 6 starts to get here. 7, his 7th start. He's been stuck on 14, and we got a win in between those 6 starts.
Ruiz on deck. Three-two coming, and a check swing foul.
So what I really meant to say, Gare, was that he got that wind 4 starts ago. He's lost 2 and had a no decision. So, and he had the last no decision, he left with he pitched a good game. He had the W in the bullpen.
So
blew it for him.
This was his 4th crack at 15.
Right.
Certainly deserved it the last time.
That's a better way to put it. Yes.
3-2. And Suzuki pops one foul. That should come out of play. Well, we've talked a number of times about the Mets putting together their team for next year, and there are not a lot of lock solid pieces for this team. A.J. Ramos will be one of them.
Familia,
Blevins, those 3 guys anchoring the bullpen. deGrom, Syndergaard anchoring the starting pitching staff. And that's ball 4, 3-2 breaking ball from Ramos, and he walks Suzuki to start the bottom of the ninth.
That's something I can have a hard time understanding when you got a 7-1 lead in the 9th inning. No free passes, particularly with a breaking ball, and you just run a sinker up there and let him put it in play.
So leadoff man on for the Braves, and now Rio Ruiz, who's 0 for 2 in a walk. Ruiz, 23-year-old from California, whom the Braves got when they dealt Evan Gattis to Houston. And the first pitch slider misses for ball 1. Ramos trying to get himself locked back in after not pitching in more than a week. Smith plays behind the runner at first with a 6-run lead. And AJ having trouble finding the strike zone with that breaking stuff, and now it's 2-0. Here's a strike.
Taking all the way down 7-1.
And he skies one down the left field line. Over comes Nimmo. Shy of the line, makes the catch. Away. So 1 out and 1 on. Now Johan Camargo.
Got the fortunate base hit his last at bat up the middle that bounced off the bag. Second base, I should say, to be more precise.
Camargo 1 for 3 on the night. Got the start at shortstop tonight with Dansby Swanson getting the night off. Camargo takes the first pitch breaking ball for a strike. And that gets by Garneau, and that'll move Suzuki down to second.
Should be a wild pitch.
Is. So a runner at second with 1 out. Camargo at the plate. Jace Peterson on deck. A bow, 5 steps, and ready to go. Nice changeup by Ramos to get him ahead on Camargo. 1-2. It's a pitch he doesn't throw a lot, but it's a good third weapon for him.
He leans on that slider, does he not?
Yep. Now the 1-2 goes back to the changeup and misses. 2-2. AJ Ramos from Lubbock, Texas. Played for his hometown school at Texas Tech. Two coming to Camargo. And he popped it up. Smith comes in from first base to call, and Ramos gets in the way and makes the catch.
It's got to be
Smith was calling, but Ramos perhaps didn't hear him and decided to take it himself.
That's the first baseman's ball. The pitcher knows he's got to clear out.
No harm, no foul. We can all smile about it now.
Well, yes. Don't want to do it in a pennant chase.
Nobody got hurt. That's the most important part. Let's go back to the play in Colorado with Ike Davis and David Wright.
I remember that so well.
It seemed like it was so innocuous at the time, and it turned out to be devastating for Ike. So the Braves are down to their final out. Jace Peterson's 1 for 3 at a base hit to left field his last time up. And he takes the slider for a strike. Here's the good slider, And now Ramos is ahead 0-2, and the Braves are down to their final strike. To Peterson. Check swing, and he did not go, and the Braves still have breath.
I just still can't get over it today. The home plate umpire is so eager to ask for help from the third base or first base umpire. I mean, if you're, it's an obvious check swing, no need to ask.
Quality control.
Everybody's afraid. They're all being watched. Big brother's upon us. George Orwell is coming back to life.
1-2 coming, and the backdoor breaking ball misses. Well, in that case, you'd have a real news story. Really and truly, kid. Lane Adams on deck. He'll pinch hit if Peterson can keep it going. 2-2 from Ramos, and the breaking ball just missed. Full count. AJ walked the first man up in the inning, retired the next two. Suzuki at second with 2 out. Three and 2 to Jace Peterson. And a check swing foul, and he stays in there.
Barely.
And Lane Adams. I don't think he wears initials anymore. Got 2 guys named Adams on the team.
Yeah, right.
They would have the initial on the uniform.
Well, I could have very easily had 2 Hernandezes on a team. I wouldn't have wanted K on there.
Hojo did when it was he and Davey. He wore the H. Johnson. 3-2 coming. That's lined into right field. Peterson has a base hit. They'll hold up Suzuki at third as Aoki gets it in. So now the Braves have runners at the corners with 2 out, and Ramos will have to dig a little deeper.
Fastball away. Pretty good hitting by Peterson, but got into the count where he didn't want to walk him. But I like the fact that he threw the fastball there.
So now Lane Adams will be the pinch hitter. Adams pinch hit last night, delivered a sacrifice fly, then stayed in the game.
He's our #1 pinch hitter. 42 pinch hits this year, 11 hits, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs.
Smith tells Ramos he's going to play behind Peterson at first. So the second Adams to pinch hit for the Braves tonight. The runner goes from first. He takes second on defensive indifference. So Peterson now at second. Well, Ramos has not pitched in more than a week, and he's making up for it. He's already thrown 25 pitches in this 9th inning. And Adams lays off the slider, and again it's 2-0. Ramos behind 2-0. And Adams takes a slider for a strike. He just does not give in. 2-0, 6-run lead, and he throws a slider.
Stubborn.
Yeah.
I hate that. Doesn't give in. It's just so it's such a paradox to me. So contradictory. I mean, the terminology is just completely polar opposites from when I played, as far as pitchers giving in.
And that one's whacked into left field for a base hit. Suzuki will score. Peterson will score. Lane Adams drives on a pair with a base hit. And with the Braves down to their final out, they get a little closer. It's now 7-3.
Hanging slider.
Well, now the question is, how many pitches are they willing to let Ramos throw in this non-save situation? And if you were to take him out, who would be next? And there's your answer. Jerry Blevins getting ready. You got a left-hand hitter coming up in Inciarte, then the switch hitting Albies, and then behind him would be Freddie Freeman. So if it got that far, I'm sure we'd see Blevins in the game.
Well,
but it's going to be Ramos to face Inciarte.
It's time to put an end to this nonsense.
It's still with a 4-run lead, 2 runs home for the Braves here in the bottom of the ninth, but Ramos clearly struggling, pitching on 7 days rest. Inciarte is 1 for 3, had a base hit against DeGrom his last time, against Familia his last time up. Change up for a strike. Adams at first. Smith's going to play behind him. And Inciarte takes the changeup down, 1-1. Well, when we're done here, we'll bring you right to the Pix 11 news. And on SNY, you can flip it over for WB Mason post-game live. 30 pitches deep into this 9th inning. Ramos throws the 1-1. The runner goes, but it's grounded right at Cicchini, and this should do it. Cicchini tosses out Inciarte, and the Mets snap a 5-game losing streak and an 8-game road losing streak. Jacob deGrom gets a career-high 15th victory as the Mets defeat the Braves 7-3.
Well, they jumped on R.A. Dickey, who came into this game with a career record against the Mets of 4-0, but they just jumped on him early. 2 runs in the second, 2 runs in the third. We're 5-0 at the end of 4. He wound up giving up 5 runs over 5 innings, 8 hits. deGrom sparkling, career high 15th win. Congratulations, Jacob. You deserved it. Beautiful game he pitched. 1 run, 5 hits over 7 innings.
Game summary brought to you by Kia.